Welcome to the Super Bloom Healing Podcast. I'm Alicia, your fellow dreamer and guide on this path of healing. This podcast is our sanctuary, a place where sensitive souls, seekers, and those navigating their awakening can come to recharge and feel supported. You'll find tips and tools to help you on your healing journey. Let's go inward and discover the magic inside of us. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this special episode of the Super Bloom Healing Podcast. If you don't know me or haven't met me, my name is Alicia. I'm an energy healer and a spiritual guide, and I'm currently pregnant. So that's why we're doing this special episode with my dear friend Karen, who comes to us from Germany. It's it's really fun to try to line up our schedules and line up our time frame, but we make it work because she's so wonderful, and I wanted to bring her here to really share with you about a session called Prenatal Bonding, which is a mix of psychology and energy work and allows you to really connect with your baby, connect with even a baby that maybe hasn't been conceived yet beforehand, or figure out why you might have some infertility issues, that kind of thing, if you are trying to conceive. So there's lots and lots of stuff to talk about here, but I want to introduce Karen. And if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about yourself, Karen, and how you came to do this work.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy that we're here because this is one of my favorite topics to talk about. Yeah, so I'm a body therapist, but this is my second career. I started in marketing and sales, and well, long story short, I've been in this body therapy career since 2006, so almost 20
Mm,
years.
yeah.
And when I was training to become this body therapist, we often encountered some stuff that we knew was pre-verbal.
Mm-hmm.
So body reactions, body sensations that we knew they're not from a verbal time. So when the child is already capable of telling, okay, my tummy hurts. So we we were so certain that there is so much in that's going on in the womb that we are learning in the womb.
Yeah.
And then I trained to be a prenatal bonding practitioner. So this is, as you said, something that comes from psychoanalysis, but it's really more spiritual and energetic work than anything else. So you've seen that in the session, and
Yeah.
your audience will see that in the next episode.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a special episode coming for you for those
Mm.
of you that are paid subscribers, where you actually get to watch me go through a session with my baby, which is really, it was such a beautiful experience. And I highly, highly recommend, even if you only become a member for just the month to watch it, highly recommend it. It's very beautiful and really shows a lot of what you're talking about here. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was in training, we realized that there is so much that this period has so much impact on us and all the different things that we can experience. So you just mentioned difficulty conceiving. Well, this is basically because we learned something about pregnancy when we were the baby in the belly.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing we learned was that so when we have difficulty conceiving, the thing we learned is that pregnancy is stressful.
Mm,
Our body, our energetic system will help us not become pregnant in order to avoid that stress.
wow.
Um, and also, if we are conceived by in vitro fertilization, that has a massive impact on us. The way we are born,
Mm-hmm.
is it a natural birth so that the navel chakra can develop freely? Or is it a planned cesarean, which is a completely different story from an emergency cesarean? Is it
Right.
forceps? Is it vacuum? All these different, is it induced? So everything can have such a big impact on the adult that we are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
many modalities either psychology or therapy or body work or energy work, they oftentimes ignore that time and that impact.
Mhm.
So since we are both energy healers, we thought that it's time to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And maybe this isn't the time to talk about it, but I am curious, like, as an example, I was a planned cesarean.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, like, how that plays into now when I'm pregnant. Does that affect my baby? Does that affect the way that I experience pregnancy? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it will it will maybe affect your baby in the sense that since it is in you, it will be impacted by your imprints.
Mm,
So one thing I highly recommend is always telling the baby if there has been um, an intervention, either with mom or with dad,
mhm,
works both ways. To tell the baby, you know what, there is a natural way. And mom or dad did not go that natural way for different reasons. But you, baby, you can go the natural way. You don't have to do it like mommy did. You don't have to do it like daddy did.
yeah,
So this is very, very important to tell the baby beforehand because babies, you know this very well, are so receptive, so sensitive. You can really communicate with them.
right.
It's really a dialogue when you do this prenatal bonding. So yes, I would strongly suggest that if there has been an intervention of any sorts, tell the baby, go the natural way. That's the way to go for you.
Yeah.
And especially in the prenatal bonding process, we do have some sessions that we do at the end to prepare for birth, to prepare both mom and baby for birth. And we did a little bit of that in your session
Mm,
to explain to the baby how to position itself. So how to position the head and then explaining the process of the natural birth. So you have to turn your head this way and then the shoulders go the other way and then you turn around. And beforehand you just sense if maybe you have the cord around your neck. And if so, you just glide it down towards your feet. So these are all things that we explain to the baby.
right.
And
I
the
it's it's it's
statistics, sorry, really explain that it really, really helps
yeah,
because when you do the prenatal bonding, the birth interventions are so low; they're under 1%.
that's incredible.
Mhm.
I mean, I when you told me that, I was floored because, I mean, there's so much work that we do just even energetically with the mom a lot of times
Yeah.
during pregnancy, but to have that, communication with the
Mm.
baby and
Mm.
to inform the baby, and it really is energy work with the baby as
It is.
well.
It is.
Showing them that visualization of showing them
Yes.
what to expect and all of that, I think is just so undervalued, or most people don't even know that you can do something like that, right?
No.
So
Yeah. Yeah. And there's the doctor, and then there's the midwife. The midwife takes care of the woman and the baby, but the physical process.
right.
And then there's the doula. Her job is to take care of the woman, to
Mhm.
make sure that she's fine and has everything she needs. But who's taking care of the baby emotionally and energetically?
Right,
So it can only be the mom because there
right.
is no other role, no other personnel who could
Yeah,
take on that role
yeah,
yet. Maybe
exactly.
sometime, but
Exactly. Yeah, and I think intuitively, if you're connected with your body and you are, more, spiritually inclined or just inclined that way, you may want to bond or connect, just inherently, naturally
yes,
with the
of course.
but even taking it to this level, I think so many moms don't realize that we have this
Yeah.
capacity and this ability. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what the actual session is and what it looks like, just for those of us who haven't heard before.
Yeah. So one session is it always starts with a sort of guided meditation I would call it that way. I don't know if that's the name that you would give it.
Yeah, it's
But
like
you have
hypnosis too, a little bit, right?
sorry?
A little bit like a hypnosis too, right?
Exactly. So it's a little bit like a hypnosis. It's a way to put mom into a deep trance. It's not really hypnosis, but it's really deep relaxation, and it's really a state of you're not interested in what's happening around you anymore. You're just interested in what's happening in your body and in your body, in your belly, and with your baby. And then there's a specific way to contact the baby. So we're not going to say too much about that right now, but there's a very specific way to contact the baby. And then basically, it's about receiving the images, and the practitioner is helping interpret those images. Or those feelings, those because it's not always images. You know that even if you're doing energy work, not everybody is seeing things. Some are hearing things or sensing things. So it's more about the clair that you and your baby want to use, and it's totally fine. And the practitioner helps interpret that and helps guide the session if needed in a way that certain issues are addressed, that certain questions are answered by either the mom or the baby.
Mhm,
And then there are these special sessions that we do for just before birth.
mhm,
And one of those sessions is remembering. So in one session, the mom recounts her memories of the pregnancy. And in the next session, we invite the baby to recount its memories of the pregnancy. And it's so amazing because sometimes the mom starts with conception with her pregnancy test, and
mhm.
then she goes on, and now it's you're almost there, and the baby goes the other way around. The baby starts with, okay, now we're here, and you remember, and they go back, or vice
Wow,
versa. So it's so interesting.
that's so interesting.
The difference, I think it's important to mention that the main difference between the prenatal bonding and something like hypnotherapy, hypnobirthing, is that again, it's more baby focused. Hypnobirthing is more about helping the woman, the mom, to handle her fears and to handle her stress.
Mhm,
And the prenatal bonding is something that helps during pregnancy, during birth, and in the years after.
yeah,
Because the moms who go through that report that the babies are different.
mm,
They are more awake. Um, they know how to understand their cries much earlier
mm,
because they do have this bond already.
yeah.
So this
That's
is
so
this is something
beneficial.
that's yeah, this is something that continues after birth. It's not only prenatal.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, that's incredible. I've seen these videos recently of moms asking their little toddlers, like, "Do you remember being in my belly? Do you remember that experience?" And sometimes they will and sometimes they won't. But I wonder if a baby does this, I'm sure they would remember those things even a little bit more when
Yes.
they're young, you know?
And I strongly believe that toddlers remember, that little children remember. It sometimes depends on how the question is asked and how if it if you have parents that are not spiritual at all and suddenly they ask you something like that, um, yeah, the kid will be confused.
Right.
So they might not answer
Yeah.
what they remember. But yes, they do remember, and there has been some studies. So prenatal psychology is quite a new branch of psychology.
Mhm.
The first books have been written in the late 70s, so it's quite young still, 50 years. But there have been some experiments and some tests and some studies that really show that you ask the baby about well the toddler the little kid about some memories they have from
Mhm.
that time, And then you ask separately the parents, the mom and the dad, and they can tell.
Yeah.
Like I remember that one time there was loud music. It was so loud and the music was so extreme and I couldn't sleep in mom's belly, etc. And then the mom says, "Yeah, we went to this fair and there was this music and these bands playing." You can really match those two memories.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. Babies in the belly are so perceptive of what happens around them.
Yeah. They truly it's so funny. I went to a wedding after we had done our session, I went to a wedding, and I'm very still very large already at this point, so I didn't do a lot of dancing, um but there were a couple songs I was like, "I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna
Mhm,
dance a little bit," and we had, like, these glow sticks, and everybody was really fascinated with, like, putting the glow sticks around the belly.
mhm.
And so anyway, we're doing this dancing thing, and I sat down and immediately he got the hiccups. And I thought, he knows what's going on. He feels like he's at a rave right now. Like there's a lot happening for him, and I bet he'll recount this or we could talk about it in our next prenatal kind of bonding session if we wanted to. But
Yes,
they
yes.
really are so they're so perceptive, it's like animals, they just absorb, the energy of what's going on around them almost unintentionally because they're so pure and vulnerable and soft,
Yeah.
and that's what's beautiful about
Mm,
that bond, that you can create. But it also makes you wonder, how you're really the environment that you're creating for the baby outside
mhm.
of the womb and how important that is.
So important. So
Yeah.
I always suggest the prenatal bonding sessions, normally we do them once a week,
Mhm.
starting week 20, but, well, every pregnancy is different. Um, but I always suggest and recommend that you talk to the baby all the time. You will not have this very intense dialogue because you need this very calm space
Mhm.
to be able to receive the messages,
Mhm.
but the baby receives everything. So I always tell the pregnant moms to really talk to the baby and explain. Okay, you know what? It's going to be loud. It's not. It has nothing to do with you. It's not stressful. I might be a little bit stressed because there are a lot of people around me, and might not like that. But it's okay because it's just a wedding, and we're going to go home a few hours later. So don't worry. So really, explain what happens.
Yeah.
Or even
Ab
at the end of the day, tell, "Oh, you know what? I'm tired today because this and this and this happened, and you might have heard this and this, and you
mm
might have sensed that this and this was happening."
mhm.
Uh,
Yeah. That's so important too because I have found knowing what I know about energy work and the babies that I have worked with,
mhm,
it was when I first got pregnant, I was so nervous to think any negative thoughts, to have any fears, to, like, experience anything in my environment that was, like, negative because I knew that the baby would pick up on it as well, but that communication piece that you're talking about, I think, is the real key here, and it's that letting that baby know, like, "This is why, this is what that was, this is mommy's fear, not yours," or that kinda
mhm.
thing
Yeah,
is
because life
so
happens, right?
yeah.
Life
Yeah,
happens.
you can't take all of that away,
And
and it's probably worse if you suppress it and pretend like
absolutely.
it's not happening, 'cause
Yes,
they're still
absolutely.
sensing it anyway.
Absolutely, because, well, life happens, and if you're pregnant for the first time, and even if you're pregnant for the fifth time, you will have fears about certain things, certain stuff. So that's totally normal and legit, and it's part of being human. And
Mhm.
what we always need to remember is that we are preparing a little human for life.
Right.
So better tell him this is what's happening.
Right.
Better explain the things. You know, sometimes when we were kids, we were afraid of the dark because we had ideas of what could happen in the dark. If
Mhm.
we really knew that what is happening in the dark or that there's nothing happening in the dark, we wouldn't have to be afraid.
Right.
But it's
Right.
the ignorance of things that makes these things so hard to bear.
It's so true. Yeah. The unknown is what's
Mhm.
And when you know it, then it's okay. Everything's
Yeah.
okay.
And babies are so forgiving.
Mm.
I remember one client she had, for good reasons. She was very much afraid, and she did a lot of um, prenatal diagnostic. And when she first got in contact with the baby, the first thing she saw, so the first image she got from the baby was this spy hole that you have in the doors. You know,
Mhm.
when you don't want to open the door, you just want to see who's on the other side. So
Yeah.
this is the image that the baby sent her. And she could not understand, so I had to translate for her. So I said, well, this is how the baby felt for quite a while, because you were spying on it all the time.
Right.
You had good reasons to do that.
Right.
So these two truths can be simultaneous.
Right.
But the baby just felt like you're constantly watching. And there's a
Right.
good reason why the baby is gestating in your belly, not in a pocket where you can look into, right?
Right. Right. Exactly.
So we explained that to the baby, that it wasn't about spying on it. It was just to make sure that it was okay and everything. And then he went like, "Oh, okay, that's what it was." Yeah, well, okay, no, I'm fine. You know
Yeah.
that I'm fine.
That's amazing. And that provides so much peace for the mother too to hear directly from the
Yes,
baby, "I'm okay. Everything is okay."
yes,
Yeah, that's incredible.
that's it.
And can you talk a little bit about also how, the father or the partner could be involved in this too?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the father is always invited when I do the sessions. I always invite the fathers. They don't always come, but that's for them and for the mom also to decide.
Right.
Uh, so how can they relate? Well, they do the same through the mother. So the mother is transmitting the images that she gets from the baby.
Mhm.
Remember this one time, the father was here and he was like, "Well, I'm so excited to finally meet you, and we are world travelers, and you don't know what the world is." So he sent images of what the world is,
Wow.
and the different countries they had visited, and the different countries they were going to visit, and why it's important to them, and why he was so excited to show the world to his son, etc. And then we asked the baby, "Okay, do you have something to say about that?" And the answer was, "Namaste, Papa."
I
So
love that.
yeah, it's really amazing what those kids perceive and how they receive the world. And it's so funny. We talked about that earlier. That in the very beginning, so right after conception, when you just know that you're pregnant, they're very much in this spiritual realm. And
Mhm.
the more the pregnancy advances towards birth, the more human they become, in a way that the more birth and body related their thoughts and questions become.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That's
why
inc
can't I stay in your belly? Yeah, because you're growing too much and you don't have space, so you need to come out, and then outside there is space here for you to grow.
Yeah, that's incredible because I feel like I can even feel that in him. I can feel him becoming more grounded,
Yeah,
almost to the point that I even feel like I want to, like, offer him grounding here in on Earth, that just
yeah,
that kind of connection.
yeah.
2, maybe even 3 weeks ago, it was not quite that,
Hmm.
he didn't feel like that human, you know? He still felt very floaty and etheric and
Hmm.
spiritual,
Yeah,
more so.
yeah.
Is there a time that you've noticed I always ask, other energy healers this because I've heard a lot of different answers, and I
Oh,
just
okay.
I feel like it's so interesting. Is there a time that you believe that the soul, like, fully enters the body? Is it upon birth, or is it before that?
It's
Are they
before.
kind of, like, in and out?
I don't think it's in and out. I think it's from the very beginning,
Okay.
conception.
Okay, yeah,
I um Well, I started with body therapy and prenatal psychology before I became an energy healer.
yeah.
And so maybe I'm biased by that, but
Yeah.
I have an opinion about energy healing as well, so energy work as well. So let me start with the body aspect of it, with the bodily dimension of it. Um, the body remembers because of the cell memory,
Mhm.
because it's stored in the cell. So we remember, the body remembers things. We cannot talk about it. We do not have words to express that. But I, as a body therapist, can make the body remember through certain triggers and invitations,
Mhm.
remember things that were in the very, very first days and weeks of pregnancy that even the mom did not know that she was pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the body even remembers this shock moment. Because
Mm.
even if you're waiting to get pregnant, the moment you realize it, it's a shock.
Right.
It's a happy shock, but it's a shock
Right.
nonetheless. So the body remembers that.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, the soul is there from the very first moment. And from energy work, when I work with what I call the karma strand, which is like the timeline of this incarnation, it
Mhm.
starts at conception.
Yeah.
And I can see energy blocks there. And I can see when somebody is like, I don't feel like I'm from this earth, and I don't feel embodied, and I have such a hard time um, staying grounded, and all these things. And then I have a look at this dimension of the auric field that I'm working with, and I see that, yeah, the soul is there already,
Yeah.
but because of prenatal stress, there is a tendency to disassociate,
Mhm. Okay.
and I
Yeah.
can see that energetically.
Yeah.
So I believe that when some people have had this experience of in and out,
Mhm.
it's more the emotional, psychological dimension to it of um, dissociation
Right.
than really the soul returning to wherever it came from.
Got it. Got it.
That's
So then in this hypothesis, then the more spiritual version of the baby, kind of like at the beginning, the first trimester, second, is more that they're just still very connected with the spirit world. Um,
I, well, I wouldn't say that especially. I would rather turn it around and say they don't have a body yet.
yeah. Okay.
In the beginning, it's just one egg cell that has been fertilized,
Right.
and then it's the embryo, and then it's the fetus, and we have this concept of um, the form is following the function. So you have the function first, and then comes the form.
Mhm.
So you see that the babies are, when they develop the arms, this reaching out is there first. The movement of reaching out is there first, and then you have the arm coming
Mhm.
out and
Mhm.
developing, and all the fingers and all the joints, etc.
Yeah.
So in my experience and opinion, what I notice is they don't have, like we do. They don't have this experience to have a body, a fully formed body,
Right.
to feel grounded by or
Right.
with.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
I love that. So then, kind of going along with that, is there a point that you think the baby chooses the parent? Do you believe that the baby chooses the parents they're going to be with? And
Um, yes, I do.
yeah,
Yes, I do. So in my energetic work, we're not talking about past lives, so it's not a reincarnation because there's no time and space.
right.
It's all happening. It's all happening now. So all
Right.
our parallel lives, what we call past lives, are happening right now.
Yeah.
But I believe that yes, the soul that sends a part of itself to this one incarnation certainly sees that pairing of parents
Mhm.
as an opportunity to have certain experiences.
Yeah.
That's what the soul is wanting it from a human life. It's having experiences.
Yeah.
So if the soul sees a pairing, a very loving pairing, this is going to be a different experience than somebody who's having just a lustful one night stand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the baby comes out from that, but the father is gone, or the mother is gone, or whatever. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
Definitely.
How do you see that? Do you believe that?
Yeah, I think I do. Before conceiving, I always felt that there was already a baby waiting
Mhm. Yes.
waiting to come into our family, and um I even kind of got that confirmation in the session that we did. I got this feeling of I think he even said at one point, like, we already know each other. And it feels like that with him, like, it feels like we have some kind of, connection outside of just this
Yeah.
connection to whatever it is, a parallel life or whatever. And it's really yeah, I think it makes sense to me, even when I look at families that already have kids and that kinda thing, it makes sense to me why those kids are with those parents and that kinda thing and what they came here to learn. I definitely agree for sure.
Yeah. I don't have living children. When I was very young, the doctors told me that I would probably not have children at all. And then I got pregnant in my, let me see, late 30s.
Mm.
And it wasn't a good parent pairing. So,
Yeah.
but I was very happy to know that, yeah, it's my body can do that.
Yeah.
And then the baby went in week 5.5, something like that.
Mhm.
Week 5.5, 6. And I was very happy about that too, because as I said, it wasn't a good parent pairing.
Right.
Um, but um, I knew afterwards that it was a boy, and I know his name. He told me his name
Wow.
afterwards.
That's
So
cool. Oh,
the
that's so cool.
the essence of that energy is still around.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I I would love to hear I guess I don't know what my question is, but I would love to hear any insight you have for parents who have lost children. I have several friends who've lost either a baby to stillbirth or to, even after birth, like, an
Mm.
infant death. Um,
It's so hard.
and I know that can be so challenging, especially when you've wanted to conceive for so long. A lot of these people really want to be parents or wanted to be parents, and um, yeah, is there any insight you have from your perspective and all of the babies that you've worked with as to kind of why why that sometimes happens and, any solace you can provide those parents?
I don't have an answer to why that happens, because there are a gazillion reasons for why that can happen.
Mhm,
And sometimes we get to know the reasons and sometimes we don't. And for
mhm,
us for us humans, it's so hard when we don't have the answers, because this is how our brain works. Pattern recognition. That's what our brain is supposed to do, always looking for the why and the what, and how things go
right,
together. And when we don't have that, it's so hard on us.
mhm,
Um, so I don't have an answer for the why, but I might offer some comfort in sharing the experience with all the babies that I met after,
mhm,
that it's okay for them.
yeah,
So this might sound a bit, I don't know, maybe cheesy or religious or whatever, but this is just, every one of them told me it's okay.
mhm,
So sometimes that was the plan. Sometimes they said it was always the plan for
yeah,
me to go very, very soon,
mhm, yeah,
either in utero or after. And sometimes it wasn't the plan, but for the babies, when they're on the other side, it's okay.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I've found too in my work, and I think there's there's this tendency to want to question, like, what could I have done differently? What did I do wrong? And, even a prenatal bonding session or something like that, if it's meant to be this way, I don't know that it's necessarily that there is anything.
Well, since we're talking about a little bit more heavy
Yeah.
topic, let me just share. I hope it's okay. If you feel like we shouldn't share that, we're gonna
Yeah,
edit it out.
sure.
So it was a colleague of mine. We met in energy healing training,
Mhm.
and she got pregnant again with triplets. And for different reasons, she knew that at least one, and it sounds so harsh, but for medical reasons, one would have to go.
Yeah.
It wasn't about her not being able to handle triplets. It was for medical reasons. There was one girl and two identical twins, and the twins had, like, they were sharing one placenta, and the one
Mhm.
wasn't developing right. So really a very hard story.
Right.
And we did prenatal bonding sessions with the babies.
Wow.
And the baby said, "Well, that's okay."
Wow.
And this was such well, a really difficult thing to go through,
Mhm.
because she had to make a decision also.
Mhm. Right.
Who's staying, who's going?
Yeah. Can't imagine.
No. Um, but she handled it very well, and also the father had one-on-one sessions with me, because the father in those cases very much often ignored with his feelings.
Mhm. Right.
So we had one-on-one sessions too, and yeah, and the babies were just like, "Yeah, well, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't worry."
That's that's so beautiful
Mhm.
and so incredible to have that. Like you said, the babies are so forgiving and they know they know why they're here and what they're doing and, why they chose these parents and all of that. So,
And they know so much about the history of the families too.
yeah,
I, th-
that's
I
so
think
cool.
I told you that one example of a client where the baby said, "You know what, mom? Tell dad to clear whatever beef he has with his father."
Yeah.
And then the mom went to see her husband and said, "Well, do you have any beef with your father?" And he was like, "Well, told you."
That's so great.
And it was the baby, and there was no way that the mom knew about it, and
Mhm.
so it couldn't have been that way of leaking information.
Right.
So it was
Exactly.
the baby
Exactly.
baby knew, and it's so amazing. It's so
Yeah,
crazy.
so even to that point, it's like these babies, when we connect with them and bond with them, they can even help us heal,
Yes,
you know, e
yes.
energetically, spiritually, internally, even physically. I heard the other day that the baby's, cells can cross, into, like, the mother to help heal different, just ailments, physical ailments, which is so wild.
Yes, it's absolutely wild. Yes.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I've even found too, since being pregnant, I can feel it's felt like a very physical experience more so than I thought. I think birth will be a bit more transcendent. Who knows? Maybe it'll be very physical, only physical, but I'm expecting it to be a little spiritual. But, I've noticed that things, how do I wanna describe them? Like ancestral things, inner child things, um, all of this, yeah, kind of the beef, the junk um, that we haven't dealt with, I've noticed coming up for both my husband and I wanting to be dealt with, um, like, almost one last time before
Mm.
the baby comes, and I think part of that is, like, we're really stepping into a totally new, whatever you wanna call it, season of life. Like,
Yes,
it's gonna be a totally different experience than we've had up until now. But at the same time, yeah, there's just this energetic spiritual component that I feel like wants to rise to the surface so that the baby is more free. The
yes.
baby is more, um, yeah, free to be them rather than carry all of our burdens, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I noticed that the prenatal bonding sessions alone, yes, they're prenatal bonding, so they're doing good to mother and baby during pregnancy, and they're doing all this good work for the preparation of the for the birth and afterwards. But
Mhm.
it's like therapy for the mom as well.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It's a mother coaching and therapy in all in one.
Yeah. And it seems that our babies kind of mirror our energy in so many ways, and
100%.
I mean, that kinda came up in my session a little bit, with the he kept bringing up a picture of my husband,
Mhm,
and it was like the energetic patterning was similar is what he was saying or
mhm,
referring to, um, which I think is it's so beautiful, and it's like an extension of, the family line. That's what it is. This is the energetic extension, and we have so many things from our ancestors and
yes.
generations back that we are dealing with, that we are overcoming, that we are, working through on a
Mhm.
consistent basis. So anyway, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Um, I had one, client, she was, how do you say it? She could not hear well. She needed a hearing aid, and she
Yeah.
was so afraid that her baby would have the same.
Mm,
And so in this fear of having given that to her baby, she was very reluctant to really get in touch with the baby. She did all the sessions,
mm,
but she never really saw the baby.
yeah.
She always saw it as this tiny, teeny light bulb somewhere. Uh,
Mm,
but this was just her fear of really getting in touch because she was so afraid of she was so she felt guilty in advance.
right.
The baby, when he was born, he did not have any problems. Um, But this was before I became an energy healer and I learned all the things that I'm doing now because I could have helped her back then very much differently. I could have cleared
Right.
those guilt energy blocks that would have helped her much more. But well, that's
Yeah.
how it was. Oh, and there was this other client. So she was from Tunisia
Mhm.
and she had a German husband, but he had brown hair and dark eyes, and she had two, and the baby she saw was blonde with blue eyes. And she always was like, "This can't be. I'm just why am I seeing a blonde baby with blue eyes? It's no way that he's going to be like that."
Right.
And then he turned out to be exactly like that, because after they realized that I think it was the grandfather from the father
Uh-huh.
that had this blonde and blue eye, and it was just
Wow.
skipping generations. And the baby turned out to be blonde and blue-eyed. And
Wow.
I was told her, "Well, just trust it, because if he's sending that to you, it's either that he really looks like that,
Yeah.
or it has a deeper meaning that we do not understand yet."
Right.
So
Yeah,
it could have
exactly.
been both. But in that case, it was really, well, yeah, that's what I look like.
Yeah.
So
That's so funny. It is really, I would say challenging, even as someone who is in constant meditation and visualization with my clients. There's something about trusting yourself with what you see
yes,
too in those prenatal bonding
of
sessions.
course.
It's challenging to just see something and say, "Yeah, this is from the baby," you know? Like,
Yes.
but the more you sit with those things, I think it really does prove that you have that connection, you know?
Well, there's a reason why you do these prenatal bondings with a practitioner.
Mhm, exactly.
You can do them by themselves, but well, you know how it is when you do yoga. You can do yoga by yourself. You can do yoga with a YouTube video, and you
Right,
can do yoga with a class, and you can do yoga with a personal trainer,
right.
personal yoga
Yeah.
teacher. And all these yoga sessions will have different qualities to them.
Mhm.
And yes, in the beginning, it's especially my clients, when they come to me, they come mostly from the corporate world.
Yes.
So they're not. describing themselves as really intuitive or
Right.
spiritual or whatever.
Right.
And it takes like something in between 2 and 4 sessions for them to come to this very magical moment when suddenly they're like, "Oh, I just had an image. It wasn't my thought.
Right.
That came from the baby, and
Right.
they know it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
really can see the difference between I was imagining something and
Yeah.
this was sent by another being.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so cool, and it's just more proof that, like, anybody can do this type
Yes,
of connection, like,
absolutely.
this. And we all have, like you said in the beginning, we all have different ways that we read energy or
Mhm,
see energy or
mhm.
feel and experience all of that. And so it may come in those ways as well. It might not just be necessarily a,
Absolutely.
a vision or whatever, but anybody can do it, which is
Yeah,
so cool. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And the practitioner is there to help interpret and to help guide the
Mhm.
questions and the answers. And I told you that in the beginning, oftentimes what the first image that the moms get is they see the baby as huge and immense and so big.
Mm,
They see
yeah.
themselves as so small. And this is a classic image that means that I help to translate because it's just like, well, you see that the role of being a mother at this point in time is overwhelming.
Mhm. Yeah.
So the baby and all the responsibility that comes with it is so huge, is so grand. It's just like, how can I ever do that?
Yeah.
But there's a reason why a pregnancy is 9 months, right? It's there to prepare you. So, and this image, when it appears in the beginning, it always and only appears in the beginning. When it does appear, it's only in the beginning,
Mhm.
and it disappears quite early on then because they know, okay, I have time to prepare, and
Yeah.
it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it is so interesting. I think back to when I first found out I was pregnant, felt like such a child more so than I do now, and it's crazy that nothing on the outside has even changed really, but
Mhm.
just that connection and that I don't know, there's just something that happens as you're moving from
Yeah,
maidenhood into motherhood. It's just there's just something that changes in your energetic system that's
totally.
very tangible.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're sliding up a generation.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mhm.
And it's interesting to watch too because we have, you know, people kind of having children later in life now than
Yeah.
in past generations, and I always, used to watch old movies and those kinds of things and think that these women seemed so old, but they were in their 20s and 30s, and I think part of it has to do with and I even look around now and I look at people who have had children versus haven't, or even who have conceived children but maybe lost them. It's There's a different energy about the woman than than yeah, than they had previously, and it's just so interesting to watch that happen a little bit later in life
Yeah,
in this generation.
yeah. So um I have a lot of couples and women come to me wanting to get pregnant. And they are in their 40s.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
the oldest woman I did prenatal bonding with was 46 with her first baby. And
Wow.
it's absolutely no exception nowadays.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So when somebody tells me, "Ooh, my clock is ticking, I'm 35," I'm like, "What? No,
Yeah.
don't be scared, don't be afraid."
Yeah. A lot of times it's that belief system that you have
That's
around it. Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about those, like if you're wanting to conceive and how this might benefit or what you would do in that instance with a mother?
mhm. Well, I have a program which is 3 sessions, and in 90% of the cases, it's enough, 3 sessions. So it's a combination. What I do is a combination of energy work, um, prenatal regression,
Mhm.
and then in the third session we just see whatever needs integrating. Um, but oh, I had this funny story about one client. She came to me and she looked like out of the magazine Vogue. She was perfectly made up. She had perfect every accessory
Yeah.
was just like 100%. And she was like, "I'm trying to get pregnant. I'm trying to get pregnant, but I'm also trying to start my coaching business."
Mm,
So my first impression was, I hear what you say and I believe you, but something in me tells me that there is something that is off.
right.
This is not, this is neither the desperate energy of I've been trying for 5 years,
Uh-huh.
nor the nurturing energy that I would be expecting from somebody who really, really wants to become a mother.
Mhm.
And I was like, Karen, you can't judge that. Yeah, but something's off.
Yes.
So we made 3 appointments, and in the first session we did some energy clearing. And I did clear one energy block that is basically when over a longer period of time you notice that help isn't coming.
Mm,
So you have a situation that makes you feel first helpless, then
mm,
hopeless.
mhm.
And the hopelessness is prolonged, and you really like, well, nothing is changing. So I might as well put a brave face.
Right. Mm,
And this is when this energy block is created. And this energy block was as big as her aura.
yeah.
So I cleared that one
Wow.
energy block and everything else that I saw. And she missed the two next appointments. And I was ringing her and said, "What's happening? Are you okay?"
Right.
She said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm pregnant."
That was quick.
That was really quick. That was the quickest I ever had. But well,
Wow.
anyways, and she did not phone or text to tell me that she did not need the other appointment.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, basically 3 appointments are oftentimes are enough.
Okay.
Sometimes, very rarely, we need to do some hormonal work as well.
Uh-huh. Right.
So I do this hormone reset massage. So I
Oh,
can only do that in Cologne in
yeah.
Germany, obviously, but everything else I do online.
Uh-huh.
And well, I would not write it anywhere because of legal reasons. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not in reproductive medicine, so I'm not allowed legally to say. But 9 out of 10 women get pregnant.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. So what do? I really, in the first place, I make them understand what I said in the beginning. This shift of perspective.
Mhm.
It's not that your body isn't okay. It's not that you are deficient in any way. It's not that you are kaput in any way.
Yeah.
It's on the contrary. Your body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It
Mhm.
keeps you away from the stress.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
the first question I ask them is what do you know? How was the pregnancy of your mom with you? What do
Mhm.
you know about that?
Mhm.
And sometimes they know, and sometimes they have to go back and ask their mom about it. And in 99.99% of the cases, they come back with a story that sounds like, "Mom was so stressed. She was
Yeah.
still a student. Um, her mother-in-law would not accept her.
Mm.
They had financial issues. They were building a house.
Wow.
They already had three children. Whatever.
Yeah.
There's a gazillion reasons.
Mhm.
The thing was, the baby learned being pregnant is stressful, so we're not
Wow.
going to do that.
Wow. Yeah.
And this shift in perspective is like understanding, it's a relief. I'm okay. My
Yeah.
body is doing an excellent job.
Yeah.
It's not doing the job that I wanted to do, but it's doing an excellent job. So now let me put my body in a position to do an excellent job in becoming pregnant.
Mm.
This is what
Mhm.
we do by clearing energy blocks
Yeah.
and by this prenatal regression and some body work as well.
Mhm.
Let's make sure that the body is feeling safe and the body knows that this imprint, this prenatal imprint from back then, is not relevant today.
Right. Yeah. So just for people who aren't sure, the prenatal regression would be taking you back to when you were in
Yes,
utero.
exactly.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. So
That's amazing.
because I can do a lot, I could do this only with energy work, but I noticed that it really helps when they can do that themselves,
Yeah. Right.
and they have this this memory. I can help them get back to that memory,
Yeah.
and then it feels more hands on for them. It's less than, okay, Karin did something to me and now I'm pregnant,
Right.
but rather than, I'm so empowered because I remembered and I reprogrammed that myself.
Yeah.
Because
I
this,
was just talking to someone last night. I feel that uh, all all energy work kind of is better that way when you can
yeah.
feel that you have some hand in your healing
Mhm.
rather than just going, to a healer or a guru or whoever and being healed and then, you don't know what to do with yourself afterward. It's so, I think, empowering and important to have it, even if it's just a visualization of what is going on in your energy
Yeah.
and that kind of thing, I think is so empowering.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't put any shade on either the client who wants that, nor the practitioner who offers that, but that's not the way neither you nor I work, because
Right.
we want the our clients to be, as you said, empowered and able to help themselves further down the road.
Right, and to actually heal and move forward and not just have to keep coming back to the same place because
Yes,
of
exactly.
yeah.
And especially when we're talking about getting pregnant, as we talked, it's it's an evolution of your own being. So
Right.
when you feel empowered at the very beginning, even before conception, you already feel empowered to become this mother that you
Yeah,
want to be.
yeah,
Well, that's just an amazing work to be honored to be able to accompany and to watch.
right, yeah, yeah. So I did have a question about the stress you were talking about
Yeah.
for, people who are labeled infertile or whatever.
Hmm.
Uh, is there a different stress, or does it go along with what you're talking about with the kind of ancestral stress of, women who are extremely desperate to conceive? There's almost it I've worked with some that it seems like there's just such a deeper level of desperation than just, "Oh, I wanna have a baby," almost like it's life or death.
Yes.
Is that stress, or is that something else that could be blocking them? I'm just curious what you would say.
Um, well, it's a vicious circle in my opinion.
Mhm.
Because the more you're waiting, the more you're doing things. You think you're doing
Mm,
things right and it should work, and then again you bleed, and it's yeah, it's a vicious circle of desperation. So the more desperate you become, the more closed up you become,
mhm. Right,
because the body knows that desperation isn't a good place to be in.
right.
So it
Yeah.
interprets this desperation as a threat to its existence.
Mhm. Yeah.
So the more closed up we become. When we're
Right.
fearful, our stomach just knots itself and ties itself up, right? So what we first need to do is, well, it's not really first, but one thing we need to do is help the body feel safe again
Yeah.
in order to be able to conceive at all.
Yeah. Well, and like what you just said, it's the desperation is coming from fear. It's
Yes.
coming from, like, this
Yeah.
place of, like, I don't know if I'll be able to, or I want this so badly, and what if it doesn't happen kind of a
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
And then in some cases, there might be another dimension to it, that might come from societal pressure,
Mhm.
that might come from ancestral imprints,
Mhm.
energy blocks coming from generational stuff.
Mhm.
that makes us feel like this is, or even parallel lives, what others call
Right.
past lives,
Right. Right.
because that too can have an impact. I remember one client in a past parallel life. Um, it was a situation where she was like a noble woman,
Mhm.
and her situation depended on getting pregnant and
Right.
having giving an heir to her
Right.
husband. So if for some reason this parallel life is too much connected to this incarnation, it can make you feel desperate, and it can make you feel like it's a question of life or death.
Mm. Mhm. Yeah.
So yes, this can happen too. So this dimension oftentimes can be easily resolved with energy block clearing.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
So, yeah, what my in my work, I'm working with all these dimensions of the aura of the energetic field, and the past and parallel lives are just one dimension. So you don't need to go to see a past life regressionist.
Yeah.
We can do this all in one session.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's it's very neatly packaged all
Yes,
together when
absolutely. It's about the human experience. So all these things come
Exactly.
from human experience, and if it's ancestral trauma because the grandmother needed to get pregnant to stay alive for whatever reason,
Right.
that will have an impact.
Right. Right.
And oh, did we talk about that? That the egg cell that we are from was already in the body of our mother when she was 6 weeks, no, 8 weeks old
Yeah,
in the belly of her mom.
that's so crazy. I don't know that we've talked about it on this podcast, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
really amazing.
insane.
So you imagine your grandmother is pregnant with your mom, and your mom is just 8 weeks old. She's an 8 weeks old baby in the belly.
Mhm.
And in her body, the egg cell that we will later on originate from is already there.
So crazy.
So we not only remember everything that happened in our life
Yeah.
through the cell memory, we remember everything that happened in mom's life,
Mhm.
and we remember everything that happened in the 8 last months of the
Mhm.
pregnancy with grandma.
Yeah. Wow.
Mhm.
That's incredible. It's so incredible to think about
Yes.
and how different life was then,
Oh,
you know? I mean, I think just even that alone can create sort of a energetic imprint that is, different than what we would experience now, and we just
yeah.
if you don't have any idea that that's impacting your fertility or even your pregnancy or whatever, it's,
Mhm.
so important to
Mhm.
recognize, I think.
Mhm. My mom was born in July 1946, so a year after the Second World War ended. So when my grandmother was pregnant with her, she was clearing the rubbles in Trier, in a city in Germany.
Wow. Yeah.
So I have this memory in me somewhere,
Yeah.
and it comes out in the most crazy moments.
I'm sure it does. Yeah. I just got chills. It's so crazy
Mhm.
to think about. I even now it makes me want to think about where my grandmother was and all
Yeah,
of, you
yeah,
know.
we should think about that because
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
That's so cool.
Mhm.
So are there things that women can do on their own aside from working with you that would help them connect to their baby, whether preconception or when their baby is already
Okay.
in their
So
belly?
preconception, everything that helps relax, get space, and open up.
Yeah. It's the same
Everything
with birth too, right? I mean, it's like
100%.
this is how it has to it can only come out if you're fully relaxed, and whenever there's trauma and
Yeah,
tightening, that's when you have issues.
yeah. So one image that helped quite a few of my clients was imagining that they are um, a host of a little guest house,
Mm,
and they're preparing the rooms, and they're
Yeah.
putting up fresh flowers at any time, and they're dusting everything, and they're making the room as welcoming as possible.
Mm.
And they leave the door open, and they try to put themselves in the position of, well, the door is open. If a guest wants to come, it's very welcome. I'm very happy. I'm here for that.
Yeah.
And if the guest doesn't come yet, I'm still putting up fresh flowers every week.
Yeah.
And if a guest comes and decides to leave after a time, that's okay. That's their decision. I'm here to make the room open.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
So maybe this is an image that they would want to work with, because it helped
Mhm.
quite a lot of my clients. So
Yeah.
everything that makes your body feel safe and open up.
Mhm.
Um, this would be the physical stuff, the autonomic nervous system stuff.
Mhm.
Um, meditate on inviting. Always be inviting. Never be expecting or um, forcing a connection.
Mm. Mhm. Yeah.
Be inviting
Yeah. Right.
as much as you can. So this would be preconception, and um, when you have conceived already, um, talk as much as you can to the baby. Tell everything that happens to you.
Yeah.
When you're washing the dishes, just tell them, you know what? I have my hands in the water, and my hands in the water might feel the same way that you feel in your whole body, because you're in the warm water too. I'm washing the dishes, and you hear the dishes clank, and you hear the cutlery, and these are the sounds that I'm making when I'm washing the dishes.
Yeah.
Oh, and now that's the telephone ringing. So I will be um, going to the phone, and picking up the phone. I'm going to dry my hands, and
Yeah.
telling these trivial things
Right.
help a lot. And then of course, everything that is stressful. Oh, you
Yeah.
remember? I was in the car earlier, and there was this guy he was cutting me off.
Mhm.
So I had to put on the brakes. I would really had, and this shocked me. And I'm sure you felt that,
Yeah.
but I want you
Right.
to know it has nothing to do with you.
Right.
It was just a stupid guy who was cutting me off, and I was in the car. So this is
Mhm.
how life goes. And the shock I felt, I'm sure you felt it too, but you can relax now, because it was just this one moment, and everything's fine now.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Yeah.
that's daddy yelling. No, but he's not yelling at me. He's just, because he's in the other room, so he's talking loud, but he's not really yelling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. It makes me think of, we were on our little road trip to this wedding we were going to, and we stopped to get ice cream, and I got this peach milkshake, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is so good." Just was
Mm.
exactly what I wanted in the moment, and we were just driving, and I said, "It's a peach milkshake." And my husband was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I was telling him what it was because I thought he might like how good it tastes and might wanna know what it is."
Excellent. So
He
good.
was like, "You're crazy." So now I've just been announcing the food that I'm eating to
Yeah,
him so that he knows what he's eating.
yeah, yeah. And you can even ask, one thing about prenatal diagnostics. So, did you do some ultrasounds?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. So I always recommend to tell the baby beforehand, okay, you know what? We're going to do an ultrasound.
Really should have done that. He was really stressed. He did not stop moving the whole time. I was like, "Oh,
Well,
he's
they
conceived
are for
now."
different reasons, because it's loud, it's warm, so it's
Mm,
uncomfortable for them,
mm.
physically uncomfortable.
Right.
And it's also this, oh, somebody's spying on me.
Yeah.
But if you tell the baby, you know what, it's not about controlling you. We just want to make sure everything's fine. And you know what, the doctor is asking for it. So I wouldn't even need it, but we have to do it. So, okay, you know what, just help me because they want to see this and this. And if you turn yourself like this and that, we're going to finish much, much sooner.
Yeah.
Babies then help and the babies then do that
Yeah.
because
That's
they know what's happening.
that's so good to know.
It's
Yeah.
it's the same as, well, if anybody was, let's say you are at the hospital and the doctor needs to do something to you, some intervention.
Right.
If they do not talk to you, if they do not tell you what they're going to do to you, what's happening?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
closing up. You don't like
exactly.
that. You turn away. You push them away.
Mhm.
If they tell you, please, can you roll up your sleeve because I'm going to give you an injection,
Yeah.
you will ask, okay, what's that for? And he will explain, and then you will see, okay, good. Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. It actually kind of blew my mind when, because I only got one ultrasound. It was at 20 weeks. We wanted to do the anatomy scan,
Mhm.
and we wanted to find out if it was a boy or a girl. And we as soon as we got in there, I mean, we were in there for it felt like a long, long time, and a very skilled technician having to chase the baby around for a long time. And finally she said, "We're gonna have to take a break, and I'm gonna have to come back." So she kind of went out of the room, and my parents were there too. It's kind of like a lot of people were there, you know? And I said to the baby, like, "We just wanna find out if you're a boy or a girl, that's it." And then she came back, and we found out, and it was, like, much simpler, but
That's it.
I did feel kind of bad because I was like I feel like he was uncomfortable, so it's good to know
Yes.
kind of what you're saying about just having that conversation and telling him exactly what's going on and why we're doing it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And I know it might at times feel uncomfortable that you are not alone anymore.
Mhm.
Because there's this little spy in you who's always there and gets everything. So I understand that it might at times be uncomfortable for you as a mother,
Mhm.
um, and that's okay,
Yeah.
and that's also okay, and it's also okay to tell the baby that
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not used to have somebody look over my shoulder all the time.
yeah.
You're not looking over my shoulder, but you're looking at my life all the time. I'm not
Yeah.
used to that. I'm a very independent woman, and this is a new situation for me. So
Mhm.
please forgive me if I forget at times to talk to you and tell
Mhm.
you what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I've talked to women who say, "I didn't even wanna think about it. It's too weird." Like, "I'm pregnant, but I didn't wanna think about all of that."
Yeah,
I
that's
yeah,
that's
totally
okay. That's
understand.
legit. That's
Yeah.
legit. But it will have an impact on the baby
Yeah, absolutely. Mhm.
because everything we do has an impact on everything we do and everybody around us.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's part of the responsibility of life.
Exactly. I feel, it's funny too because I think that I'm looking forward to kind of having my body back to
Yes.
myself, but at the
Mhm.
same time, I'm like, I know I'm gonna miss this connection because there's nothing like it, There's really, truly nothing like having someone with you at all times and having
Mhm.
that conversation back and forth, even if it's a silent conversation.
Yes, and this bodily connection and this spiritual connection. So,
Mhm.
the spiritual connection can stay,
Yeah.
okay? And what you're just describing is why in this preparation for birth, in the prenatal bonding, there is this one session where we talk exactly about that. We tell the baby, you know what? Um, I'm so excited to get to know you. I'm so excited to see you, to hold you in my arms. At
Mhm.
the same time, I'm reluctant to let you go
Yeah.
because I will never be pregnant with you again.
Mhm.
And even if I'm going to have 10 other children, I'm never going to be pregnant with you again.
Right.
So I'm reluctant to let you go. And what happens when we are reluctant to let go? We close up.
Yep.
And this session is really the magic session that helps so much
Mm.
during birth, because if you all the women who had birth interventions of sorts at
Mhm.
some point closed up because of that feeling.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's normal because
Yeah.
this is something that we as humans feel.
Mhm.
But closing up in the process of birth is bad timing.
Right.
So
Yeah, not ideal.
exactly. So this is why we are preparing, we're just anticipating that, and
Yeah.
we're helping mom and baby to work through those emotions beforehand.
Yeah. And some of it is even just the awareness of those emotions, right? Because I
Exactly.
think some women are shutting down, closing up at birth, and they don't understand why. They think that they're excited to meet the baby, and they probably are, but there's all of that other stuff under the surface that
Yeah,
they just don't realize.
because we as humans are capable of contradictory emotions
Yeah.
at the same time.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah.
And we are capable of holding different truths at the same time.
Yeah. It's so true.
And with the state of the world and how truth is handled nowadays, it's difficult to imagine that, but it's just how it is.
Mhm. Yeah.
You can be excited to see your baby, and you can be excited, and you can be exhausted by labor, and you just really want the baby to be there, and at the
Right.
same time, you don't want to let go.
Right.
And if you have prepared for that, and if you are aware of that in that moment, you can talk to the baby and say, you know what, right now I'm reluctant to let you go because I'm just so afraid. But we
Yeah.
talked about this, so you go ahead.
Right.
You do what we discussed that you're going to be doing in this birthing process. Push
Yeah.
yourself out with your little legs, and make
Yeah.
you sure you're positioned well, and do the turning and wiggling, everything we talked about. I'm a grown-up woman. I'm going to handle this emotion. Don't let these emotions hold you back.
Right. Yeah.
Because it doesn't mean that you're not allowed to have these emotions in that moment.
Mhm.
Because you are allowed. You can have any emotions that you want.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't really stop your emotions, you know? I mean, they're you're feeling them for a reason. They're providing you information and they're there for a purpose. So,
Yeah. So
there's
if
no
you
point
train
in trying.
exactly. So if you train this dialogue beforehand, you can do this in an instant, even during labor.
Mhm. Yeah. That's that's I think the key, and that's kind of where even some of that, like, um hypnobirthing kind of technique kinda comes in, where you're able to be in a relaxed state mentally so that you can actually bring those conversations in and then connect with the baby
Yeah,
and say those things for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I do have the odd client who wants me to be there during the birthing process.
Oh, wow.
So I sometimes do that.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Um,
Do they how does that work? Do
I'm
they
on call.
okay, so then if they're having trouble or
Yes.
whatever, then they would call you?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so cool. And
That
so important because we like you said, we put so much energy into the physical aspects of it and the midwife being there and the doctor, whoever, and, um, yet this is probably the most important thing
mm-hmm.
to and the most, yeah,
Yeah.
underlooked thing.
Yeah.
Yes,
So generally, it's not needed, but as I said, the odd client wants that, and I'm doing that, and yeah, it already helped the one or the other. So yeah.
that's amazing.
Mhm.
Oh, I love it. Um, well, is there anything else you wanna share about, this process or anything you feel like we haven't talked about?
Goodness, there are so many things, so many examples I could give you. But I think we covered quite some landscape of the
Yeah.
prenatal imprints that are possible. The only thing we haven't talked about is how the different birth interventions can affect.
Yeah, let's talk about that a
Um,
little bit, if you have
okay,
time.
so the planned cesarean will not allow the baby to give the impulse for birth.
Mm.
So the planned cesarean is something that, in the worst of cases, is like you have somebody storm into your bedroom at night. You're sleeping, and somebody just grabs you out of your bed.
Mhm.
Um, this is an imprint that can be left on the baby for with a planned cesarean. So um, energetically, the navel chakra that is generated at birth will not develop completely. So there will be digestive problems. There might be mobility problems. There might be problems with the legs, the knees, the ankles, the feet. But there will also be problems, and this is energetically speaking, with courage to live, will to live.
Mm, mhm.
Um, so in very extreme cases,
Yeah.
physically, it's more an imprint of I don't have time. I
Mm,
was the one to decide when. So oftentimes, as adults, we need somebody to tell us the deadline.
mm,
We cannot finish projects on our own. We need somebody to tell us when's the deadline.
mm,
And we might even need people to help us do the last steps.
mm.
We might not finish projects at all if we're left on our own devices.
Yeah.
Um, so this is might be the same with an emergency cesarean. The difference is that the navel chakra with an emergency cesarean will be much more developed because the baby is giving the impulse.
Mhm.
And at some point, medical personnel will decide, no, now we need to do an emergency cesarean and pull the baby out.
Mhm.
So all these interventions are oftentimes life saving.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are not necessary.
Mhm.
So this is a thing. When we do not clear our own prenatal and perinatal, so around birth, imprints,
Yeah.
we will be triggered by
Mhm.
anything related to that.
Mhm.
So if I'm having a gynecologist or a midwife or even a doula who are who have not cleared their own prenatal imprints,
Mm.
they will be triggered by whatever happens to me during the birthing process.
Oh, interesting.
And they will react not from a place of calm, they will react from a place of personal trauma,
Mhm.
which will lead to decisions that are not often rational or logical.
Mm, mhm. Yeah. Which, I mean, makes sense, and it makes sense why even going into birth, you want to have some idea of your own birth plan and that whole thing of what you expect to happen and why and all of those things. Of course, normally it doesn't go exactly as you expect, but
Mhm,
I think just having that, yeah, having that visual representation or
mhm,
list of things is so important in that sense too. It's
mhm,
interesting when you talk about the because I told you I was a planned cesarean,
mhm,
but I did try to come early and then they stopped it. And I have thought before that my life often plays out that way, where I try to do something and then it feels like it's too early and it's stopped,
mhm,
like in whatever I do, creative endeavors or anything. And I've noticed that pattern and had to work with it a little bit. But um, it's interesting to also pair the piece of like that happening, but then not having to instigate
mhm,
the labor or whatever.
mhm.
Yeah.
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 So then we have the forceps and the vacuum. And some people think that the forceps and the vacuum are two different instruments that are doing the same thing. They're not.
Mm.
If used correctly, the vacuum will be a pulling instrument
Mhm.
and the forceps will be a guiding instrument.
Mm. Yeah.
But sometimes the forceps is also used as a pulling instrument. But
Yeah.
let's just talk about the way they were planned to be used. The vacuum is about pulling. So when the baby is stuck for a reason, it's just not coming out. So the last push.
Mhm.
So for the adult, this will be a feeling of you're rushing me all the time,
Mm. Mhm.
um, or a feeling of can you help me go through it?
Mhm.
Could be either. And the forceps is a guiding instrument when the baby is really stuck, and sometimes it's a rim of the pelvis bone, and the head is just stuck, or the shoulder is stuck, and
Yeah.
the forceps is guiding the head in the right direction. So this will make an adult who needs guidance a lot.
Mm. Mhm. Yeah.
So what shall I do now?
Yeah.
What am I don't know I don't know what to do. I don't
Yeah.
know which way to go.
That's fascinating.
This can be energetic because the forceps is holding the hands, so it's holding
Uh-huh.
the forehead chakra. You might call it the third eye, and the forehead chakra is about orientation in time and space.
Right.
So this might create an adult who will be having a hard time being punctual,
Mhm.
having a hard time finding their way without a GPS,
Mhm. Yeah.
um, or really relying on authorities to show the way.
Mm.
So people who will not be wanting to think a process through on their own. They will
Yeah.
be relying on a boss, on a older sibling,
Mhm. Yeah.
on an authoritative friend to tell
Right.
them what to do.
Right. Wow.
Mhm.
It's so wild to think that even some of those things that we think are just part of our personality are actually just you know?
Well, they become a part of a personality
They do.
because we were imprinted so early
Yeah.
on.
Exactly. Exactly.
Never had a personality without that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And cool to think that, it's possible to maybe recover from some of those things that have plagued you your whole life too.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Um,
Because a big part can be resolved through energy block clearing.
mhm.
And the other part can be resolved through body work.
Yeah,
Because yet again, the forceps and the vacuum will leave a trauma site on the skull, on the top of the head.
right.
So you will not like wearing wigs or hats.
Mm,
So well, this is quite important for young parents to know. If your baby is born with forceps or vacuum, and you're trying to put a hat on that baby's head,
mm,
don't think
yeah.
it's going to like that.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. What about babies that are maybe the mother's in labor for a long time? They're kind of stuck in the birth canal or they're stuck in some way, but they do ultimately end up being born naturally.
Mhm.
Is there a different imprint there?
Um, there might be, but energetically, the navel chakra will not be affected.
Mm. Mhm.
Um, so there might be an imprint of um, I need time.
Yeah.
I just need time.
Mhm.
Me do it in my own time.
Mhm. Yeah.
There might also be an imprint depending on what happened. Let's say it was one of these situations where the mom was not prepared for this reluctant emotion in that moment, and she just closed up and just clenched her musculature so that the baby was was stuck in this very well, in this cramp, in this muscle cramp,
Mhm.
it might lead to either um, a need for big bear hugs
Mhm.
or a dislike for being touched in that way.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Um, it might also tight clothing might be an issue.
Yeah, yeah, that
Um,
makes sense. Or, like, claustrophobia of some
yeah,
kind.
yeah, that could be an issue.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What about, induced babies,
Hmm.
but they're stillborn naturally or
Hmm. This will definitely affect the navel chakra because the baby is not giving the impulse.
okay.
Um, but it will affect the navel chakra more deeply inside because the baby will be able to push itself out through with the legs and the wiggling and stuff.
Mhm.
But the center of the navel chakra will be affected.
Okay.
Also, a question of in the adult, it will have this effect of it's not my time,
Mm.
rushing me.
Mhm.
We're leaving in 5 minutes. Yeah, you go. I'm staying.
Yeah.
I'll see you there. I'll come when I'm ready.
Yeah, right. Interesting. That's so interesting. I love
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
It's
incredible.
things, as you said, might be part of the personality, and if it's if you're okay with that, if you're not suffering or if you're not saying that it's limiting you in any way, well,
Yeah.
that's okay. There's no reason to change it.
Yeah, right.
If somebody tells me these stories about themselves, and then I'm asking, okay, were you induced? And yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
there might be
But
a connection. So
something to think about too, because you said sometimes it's medically necessary and it is
yeah,
life-saving, and sometimes it's for convenience. It truly is for some people, to get an induction and that kind of thing, but it's just, I think, important to know that if you are gonna do that, these are the results that could happen and just to know that you could work with that or whatever.
exactly. Because from my perspective, so I have this spiritual perspective that the soul incarnates in a human body to have experiences.
Mhm,
Having an induced birth is just an experience,
mhm,
not better or worse than any other experience. It's
mm,
just one of many experiences we can
right,
have
right,
with a human body. So there's absolutely no judgment there. It's totally legit, and it's also an experience for the mother to decide. I'm
mhm,
going to do that.
mhm,
I'm going to have an epidural. That's a decision. It's a legit decision.
mhm,
Didn't
right,
affect the baby,
mhm, yeah,
but the
exactly,
baby will, in that moment, not. How do I put this? You are numbing the environment of the baby.
mhm, yeah,
So the baby will suddenly feel I'm not in a living environment anymore.
mhm,
For the time of the effect of the epidural,
yeah,
the baby will not feel like I'm connected still to my environment.
right.
That might lead to anxiety after.
Yeah, which I can imagine would feel very bizarre as the baby when you've had it,
Mm.
very alive to all of a sudden feel like that, and then to be in a whole new environment
Mhm.
once you're born, you know? I mean, that's I
Yeah.
can imagine how that would be.
And
Yeah.
it's absolutely no shade on the woman who wants that.
Right.
Um, but as you said, just be aware that everything we do will have an impact, and you can, from my perspective, I'd say, tell the baby,
Yeah.
tell it this is going to happen.
Exactly.
You know what, mom, I'm not good with pain, so I'm going to have an epidural that will feel this and this for me, and you will feel this and this. And it's okay because we're still connected emotionally and we're still connected spiritually and we're still connected through the umbilical cord. No worries at all.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the moment. It's just a few hours, and after that, everything will be fine again.
Yeah.
The baby, and it's okay. It's an intervention that you're planning. So tell the baby.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's really so simple when it comes down to it. It's just
Hmm.
having that constant conversation
Yeah.
in whatever manner is best for you and how you connect. Yeah.
And again, I totally get that it might feel awkward, and then that not everybody feels up to it.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
That too is an experience, and that too is legit.
Yeah, right.
Hmm.
Oh, I love it. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing all of this. I mean, this has been
You,
so lovely. Is there any other story or anything you wanna share to
there are
give us
so
the
many.
I know, I'm sure.
There are so many. There's so much. But I think we covered quite a few
Okay.
of the most important topics, and a lot of the landscape of prenatal imprints.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody has a specific question, just contact me on my Instagram, per email, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, if you wanna work with Karen or are interested in more of this, you can definitely follow her on Instagram and, Substack, and I will link all of that in the show notes for you so that you can easily click on through and, schedule an appointment, schedule a consultation with her if this is something that you are interested in. Yeah,
And don't forget to subscribe to Alicia's Substack
that's
in
right.
order to see this very specific and very special and very vulnerable session we did.
That's right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here, Karen.
It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Of
See you
course.
soon.
Talk to y'all soon.
Bye.
To find all the goodies, book a session, join the membership, or see what's new, head to superbloomhealing.com. I can't wait to support you as you awaken into your truest, most radiant self.